is Friday, the eve of the third Saturday in October rivalry. You are locked and loaded right now, on the hottest show on the streets, the #1 forum for Crimson Tide football news. This right here, in my own words, with yours truly, your man, Justin Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Absolutely excited to have each and every last one of you tuning in to the network, channel, and brand on today. The show, as always, brought to you by WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. That's WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. So go right now. If you haven't done so, go get you that 4-finger bling necklace showing that support of that Alabama football dominance in the fourth quarter, as Alabama is known for dominating that fourth quarter, courtesy of WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. But as always, we're bringing you the show from Tuscaloosa, streaming this via YouTube. Speaking of a channel, go ahead right now, give a like on the show, hit that thumbs up on the show right now. Also hit that subscribe button and turn all of those notifications on so that way you can have the best news, notes, analysis, updates on your Crimson Tide. But not only are we streaming this through YouTube, to all my Facebook people out there, Facebook world, I haven't forgotten about you. Your boy hasn't forgotten about y'all. We're coming to Facebook and Twitter. Come to my Twitter people as well. So we got you covered here with the YouTube stream, the Facebook stream, and the Twitter stream. We got a lot to get to on tonight's show, and it's always a joy to be joined here live in studio by my man, John Ivory, the man, the myth, the legend, the maestro in the production studio. And we want you guys being a part of the conversation tonight. Do not let tonight go by without letting your voice, your opinions, your thoughts, your ideas be heard on this show. And you can do this by calling 205-448-1358. Then I'm going to call in to get in on the conversation. That's 205-448-1358. And one more time, 205-448-1358. Definitely want to hear from you tonight. Do not let this day go by, this night go by, I should say, without letting your voice be heard here on the show. A little bit later on in the show, we're going to be joined by two heavyweight guests, two outstanding guests. First and foremost, we got a good friend of mine, Mike Lovall, who covers the Tennessee Volunteers for Last Word on Sports. So it's going to be greatly joined by Mike Lovall a little bit later on in the show at Talk Tennessee. And then the man, the myth, the legend, the boots on the ground in recruiting, one Justin Smith, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for Touchdown Alabama Magazine, will be coming on to give us a breakdown and update what's going on the recruiting trail right now for the Crimson Tide. Gonna be fun catching back up with Justin here a little bit later on in the show. But we dive into now, first topic of conversation out the gate here for this show. And this freshman class for the University of Alabama, this 2020 class, has that dog mentality. They are about that business. This freshman class is about that business. And of course, on Wednesday, the news came out following the show that Ishmael Sopsher, redshirt freshman from Amite, Louisiana, hit the transfer portal. He's in the NCAA transfer portal, the 6'3", 310-pound specimen. And just for me, I hate to see Ish in the portal. I hate to see Sopsher in the portal because I know you guys, like myself, he was one of those guys that, Bama Nation was very excited to get in the 2019 recruiting cycle, playing at Amite High School, playing at Amite High School. And Amite is about an hour north to an hour northwest, if I'm not mistaken, from Baton Rouge. So to go and get Sopsher out of LSU's backyard, getting him away from Ed Ogeron, that was a big deal. And for a lot of us, there was a lot of high hopes for Sopsher, especially when he dropped that weight. He came in a little bit heavy, dropped 20 pounds. He dropped 24 pounds, going to 310 pounds, and was looking good there at fall camp. But, unfortunately, when it was time for the Georgia game and when LeBron Ray was banged up and another defensive lineman was banged up and Coach Saban went to the bench and was wondering, who's our next guy up in terms of guys on the defensive front. and he chose to go with Jamil Burroughs and Tim Smith, over Sopsher there. Those two guys were just ready to go. They were absolutely ready to go. So Sopsher in the portal at this point here. But I'll bring all this up to say this. At the University of Alabama, for the Crimson Tide, there are some positions in college football where you can afford to take your time, and there are other positions for Alabama where you gotta hit, you gotta pop, you gotta be on point immediately as a starter, because Coach Saban mentioned on Thursday night on his Hey Coach show, Saban talked about, we recruit guys in Alabama that have that dog-like mentality. And by dog-like mentality, I'm referring to, you got players that want football more than what they want their next breath. Those types of players. You got players that want football more than what they want their next meal, more than what they want water. Like, you got players that think, man, if football don't work for me, something got to give. Like, I don't know what my life's going to become if I don't have football. Either I'm going to go football or I'm going to live at the trap house. Either I'm going to go football or I'm going to be a bum. Like, something got to give. You got a lot of players with that type of mentality where I got to show them that I can do this thing. Like, I got to show these coaches, I got to show these teammates that you can't mess with me. Like, football is my only way out. Like, it's football for me or nothing. And that's kind of that dog-like mentality that a lot of these players have. And Coach Saban, at the end of the day, he's an ultimate competitor first. He breeds competitors first. And it doesn't matter if you are a freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. It doesn't matter if you are a 2-star, 3-star, 4-star, 5-star walk-on. If you are a non-stop competitor and you want it more than any and everybody else, and you're out there each and every day showing Coach Saban that you want it more than anybody else, like you want this bad, Coach Saban's going to put you on that field. He's going to put you on that field. And this is not to say that Ishmael Sopsher did not want it bad enough. I really, truly believe he did. But when you look at Jamil Burroughs and Tim Smith, they just wanted it that much more. Like, they were that hungry. Like, they wanted it that bad. And for Coach Saban to go to them instead of Sopsher, for Coach Saban to go to Burroughs and Tim Smith in the second half against Georgia, that just tells you the type of work ethic, the type of push, the type of fight, the type of hunger that both of those two guys have. And just going back to Saban's Hey Coach show from Thursday, he talked about it. A lot of different programs, they try to negatively recruit against Alabama by saying, well, if you go to Bama, you're not going to play right away. You're not going to start right away. They're going to make you sit the bench. They're not going to cater to you. If you come to our program, you're going to start straight off. You're going to start right away. And Saban basically said, hey, their approach actually works in our favor because we get the guys here at Alabama that want to compete. They're like dogs, lapping up the water. They ain't drinking the water cute. They lapping that water up, looking behind them, making sure ain't nobody on my tail. Like, we get those competitors. We get those guys that it's about the development. It's not about, starting right away. If you do, that's fine. But the guys that Alabama brings in are those who are about the developmental aspect of the game and being able to see, where can I be 3 years from now? Where can I be 4 years from now? Especially when you discuss these guys wanting to go to the NFL. They want to go to the league. They want to make that big money. They want to make that big paycheck. They want to be that big time baller at the next level. They're all about that developmental process of Coach Saban. Yes, I can play right away. Yes, I can start right away. Yeah, I get that, but I want to be able to go to a program that's going to develop me as the full man, so that way when I get to the league, I know for a fact that the program I came from, the University of Alabama, helped me become the full package player. So it's not the fact that Sopsher didn't want it. He absolutely did. He did want it. It was just these other guys, they wanted it a bit more or a lot more than what he did. And on top of that, when he had to lose all of that weight, that 24 pounds, just having to try to convert that into muscle, he was probably behind the curve in trying to convert that, into muscle as well. So while I hate the fact that Sopsher's in the portal, and yes, he may have a chance to come out the portal and come back, he does have that opportunity, but right now, in the portal, hate it, want to see him be something big time, but this just shows you that these freshmen, they ain't playing around. These freshmen, they dogs for real. These freshmen are like, something gotta give. Like, my time is now. I'm ready to hit now. And I remember, Terrell Shavers at wide receiver was kind of the same way. All Shavers needed was some time on the field with Alabama. But the rise of John Mechie and then the performance from Javon Baker, the freshman in fall camp, that was the last straw there for Shavers. He had to say, you know what? It's too crowded for me. It's too much of a crowded room, and I got to go somewhere where I know I can get my chance to be on the field. I remember for the majority of fall camp, Ben Davis had the job locked up at outside linebacker, jack linebacker. People were telling me, Steven, Ben's looking good. Ben's doing this. Ben's doing that. Ben has it locked up. And then the final 2 weeks of fall camp, here comes Will Anderson. Shoo, I'm tired of waiting. I'm a dog now. I'm a pit bull now. I'm that monster now. They can't hold me. Right now they can't hold me. And Will Anderson goes the last 2 weeks of fall camp, swoops in, takes the job from Ben Davis, and is the starter at jack linebacker. Then you look at, Malachi Moore. Malachi Moore saying, I got to pop now. I got to hit now. Coming into the process, people were talking about Brian Branch and other guys, and Malachi was kind of overlooked and underrated a little bit. But, Malachi Moore put his head down, and all of a sudden, he's the starter at that nickel position in that star role as the slot corner, and he's starting to even grab some national attention here. So these freshmen not playing around. These freshmen are having that dog-like mentality that Coach Saban spoke on in his show on Thursday, and it's, they're not really concerned about starting right away. They'll be great to start right away. Their main thing is, what's the program that can develop me to be the utmost best that I can be? But not just that, what's the program that can develop me to put me right there in the NFL where I can pursue my dream, play at the highest level, provide for my family, all of those aspects. And all of these guys felt like Bama is the place. And it just so happened that because Bama was the place, they were hungry, they were ready, they were prepared right now to step in there, crack some skulls, and take care of business. And these freshmen doing what they got to do right now. So I heard for Ishmael Sopsher. Really want to see what he can do. He can possibly come back from out of the transfer portal. We'll see what happens. But right now, he is in that portal because these freshmen from this 2020 class ain't playing around whatsoever. We take our first break here on this show. Don't touch that dial. Just getting you started here on a Friday. Upon our return, we entertain you. Your phone calls, your thoughts, your tweets, your concerns, your chats, and your super chats. Let's have a discussion. Let's have it after this.
You're watching In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith, brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Get your four-finger bling necklace today by visiting weownthefourthquarter.com. Throw them foes up. Every sports fan deserves the proper representation. Whitwell Sports introduces to you the Title Towel. Wave that Title Towel in the air like you just don't care. In support of Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Only $9.99 and it lasts a lifetime. Head on over to whitwellsports.com and get your Title Towel today.
Remember the taste of Grandma's delicious sweets? Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes brings back those precious memories with just one bite. Each cake made from scratch. They make the perfect dessert to share with family and friends for any occasion, and ordering is easy. Visit Emily'sHeirloomPoundCakes.com. Click the online store and shop. Then pick up your fresh cake at the kitchen in downtown Homewood. Order yours online at Emily'sHeirloomPoundCakes.com. Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes, making memories from scratch.
We are back in from the break, ladies and gentlemen, on a Friday. Hottest show on the streets, number one ticket here for Crimson Tide football news. In my own words, with yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine, the eve of a third Saturday in October rivalry, Alabama, Tennessee. From Knoxville, Neyland Stadium this weekend. Yours truly, I will be in Knoxville covering that matchup for Touchdown Alabama Magazine. But before we go to the phone lines right now to take your calls, as the call segment is brought to you, you know who it's brought to you by, the Blue Wrench Gang, the glorious family that is the Blue Wrench Gang. But before that, we got a couple of super chats to shout out right now. So first off, Spencer Reveley. Appreciate that love there coming from Spencer Reveley, that $5 via the super chats there. And how about Roll Tide and Rise Up? The man Roll Tide and Rise Up. Dropped in that $10 there via the super chats. Appreciate that love coming from both of those two gentlemen. But 205-448-1358, the number to call in to let your voice be heard on the show. 205-448-1358, the call segment brought to you by the Blue Wrench Gang. And we bring on the president, the VIP of this show, the man Waylon. Waylon, what's going on, man? Happy Friday to you.
Friday. It's the Blue Wrench Gang. Oh, boy, I'll tell you what. Boy, I tell you, I thought I was going to have to get Willie and Naomi down there on Wednesday after Sway called in. He was pretty hot.
Yeah, Sway, old Sway had to put some money on that game, and he's asking, how much for Bama for the SEC. And Sway ain't trying to work in 2021. That's what Sway up to. Sway is not trying to have a job for 2021.
I tell you, he had to get some time off there, John. When he calls in, make sure you answer the phone. But we got to make a little apology here. We got supposed to have the pound cake down to, there to TDA this week, but of course I'm the master of screwing stuff up. So, well, maybe we'll have it down there next week. So y'all know this, throw rocks at me. Maybe I'll duck. It might don't hit the camera or nothing down there at TDA. But anyway, we'll get it down there next week, the Lord's willing. But yeah, it's the third Saturday in October. A very important Saturday if you think about it. Coach Bryant didn't answer a whole lot of questions about beating teams when they asked him. But a lady asked him a few days before the Tennessee game, who was your most favorite teams to play and beat? Coach Bryant said Tennessee and Auburn. And I tell you what, that meant a lot. That's what makes this rivalry so important. As we go back the third Saturday in October, when he had a lot of battles with Coach Majors up in Tennessee there, Stephen, there's been some pretty tight ball games.
There have been. I know in the Saban era, there haven't been too many close ones, but prior to Nick Saban, there were some battles. There were a lot of battles prior to Nick Saban, and a bunch of those came, like you mentioned, with Paul Bryant and Coach Majors there. So prior to Nick Saban, the Alabama-Tennessee matchup had some really intense moments.
Yeah, it's had some intense moments. There's no doubt about it. It does mean a lot to a lot of people. The show's looking good. Everybody in the chat, I see everybody. I tell you what, the town, city, state, countries, I tell you, they're pouring in here. Boy, it's like ants kicking the top off an ant bed to come in here. Stephen can't handle it. Y'all blow him up. Stephen, you're looking good. I see you've been down the shop there. You got a touch up there. You look like a young Rod there. I put on Facebook. Y'all remember that show, What's Happening? Oh,
I saw that. You know what? You're right about that, because he sounds as every bit as excited as I do.
Well, he was. Rod's got excited there. Y'all look a lot alike here. I don't know. Y'all go back and look at some of that YouTube stuff on What's Happening there. That's a young Stephen Smith. We got to get out of here. It's Friday. People want to call in. We've done a little poem here. I hope everybody has a safe weekend, a good ball game day tomorrow. We'll meet back on Monday, hopefully with a victory, and we're going to end it like this. It's the third Saturday in October. I feel fall in there. It's Alabama versus Tennessee. You better beware. It's been over 5,000 days since Tennessee got a win. Looks like it will be 5,000 more once again. Our young boy Sway from the Bay called in Wednesday and told Stephen we got a big payday. So remember, drop the love in the TDA hat. Otherwise, I'll get Naomi to give you a smack. I'm out of here, everybody. Y'all have a great weekend. I'll see everybody on Monday. Bye-bye, everybody.
Appreciate the love there coming from Waylon calling in to start off the show. I like the haircut. I mean, paranoia speaking here. I don't know if the guy, I like the haircut, though. I like the haircut. You know, John Ivory said I got to get the fade more, so I'm probably going to go back to fading that hair. But we're taking another call right now. You're live on In My Own Words. What's going on?
Good evening, Stephen. How you doing?
Man, I cannot complain, man. It's Friday. I'm talking Bama football with the fans out there. I'm enjoying myself.
Glad to hear that. Glad to hear that. I just have to piggyback as far as what you said in reference to Ish. Hey, mixed emotion. I mean, I know he was, highly ballyhooed as far as when he came out of Louisiana. But the one thing I do feel as far as prediction, the classes of 20 and 21 at the University of Alabama, whether they stay 3 or 4 years, they're going to get at least 2 rings before they leave. And the other thing is that, unfortunately, Stephen, hate to be the bearer of bad news, but this class of 20 and 21 are going to, unfortunately, escort a few people to the transfer portal, because all these guys are not just ground chuck. This is filet mignon. They came in the class of 20 as well as the class of 21. So.
Absolutely, and I mentioned that, man, in the first segment. There are some positions for Alabama football where you can be a little patient, but then there are other spots where you got to pop quickly, especially with how Coach Saban stockpiles his talent. And it's always in every recruiting class, you have about 3 to 4 guys. It could be more, but typically 3 to 4 guys that have that mentality of, I got to pop now. Like, if it's not football, I don't know what's going to become of my life. I got to hit now. And a couple of guys that just jump off my mind, you look at Josh Jacobs was like that. You know, Levi Wallace kind of had that determination. You had so many guys that had that mentality of, if I'm going to pop, I got to take it from everybody right now. And I look at a lot of these freshmen in this class, and in the class, coming in for 2021 and beyond, a lot of those guys had that same type of mentality that there may be some guys ahead of me, but they don't have the heart that I have.
That's true. And one other question I'll ask you, Stephen, if you don't know it, please refer it as far as to Justin, and that is in regards to what is the magic number for this class? Is it 4 or 5 positions? Because right now, even if you do the old math, we're looking at about 8 guys, but I know we only have about maybe 4 or 5 scholarships. So what's going to be that magic number as far as these remaining recruits for 21?
Now, of course, when I spoke to Justin last, before we have him on the show tonight, he told me that there are still 12 guys on the board that Alabama really wants. So there's 12 guys still out there. They're trying to see how they will manipulate the numbers, but upon getting Justin on, I will definitely ask him that question to see what's the exact number.
Thank you very much, Stephen. Hey, you have a blessed and uneventful weekend in RTR.
Appreciate the love there, man. Appreciate that call coming to the queue right now. We take another call on the show on a Friday. You're live on In My Own Words. What's going on?
Hey, man. This is Robert from Mobile.
Robert, what's happening with you?
Hey, who's going to start for quarterback for Tennessee this week, tomorrow? Do you know? Is it going to be Garantano again?
Right now, Jeremy Pruitt has a 4-man battle going right now. It's between Garantano, Brian Maurer, J.T. Shroud, and the freshman Harrison Bailey. So he's got 4 quarterbacks. He's trying to pick a needle in a haystack. Which one? I mean, it would have been Garantano, but he's had serious problems with interceptions. I know when they brought in Harrison Bailey, the 4-star, they really like what he can do, but a better person that will answer this question, I'm going to have my man Mike Lovall from Last Word on Sports that covers Tennessee. He'll be on a little bit later in the show, and he'll provide more clarity to that question. Now, if I had to wager some money on it, I would go with Harrison Bailey, but I think my man Mike Lovall may have the accurate answer on this one.
Kind of surprising, though. If Bailey was any good, he'd already be starting, wouldn't you would think.
I mean, true. Very true. Very true.
I hope, of course, Tennessee stinks up the place as usual, because we really need to get Bryce Young some games in, and there's just right now he hasn't had a chance to hardly see the field because these games have been so tight. That's another bad thing about an all-SEC schedule. There's been no breathing room for Bryce Young to get in there. So hopefully Tennessee will be like they've usually been against Bama, and we can get the quarterback out in the fourth quarter and get Bryce Young in there so he can get some snaps. You never know when you need them.
Which is true. I mean, you never know when you will need him or Paul Tyson. So definitely want an opportunity where we see both of those two young men get in there, get their feet wet, get some snaps in, get some playing time in, especially, with the first team offensive line a little bit, keeping those receivers out there so they can build that continuity. But, man, we appreciate the call. Keep listening to us.
Okay, man. Catch you later.
Absolutely. Appreciate you guys lighting us up here on the show on a Friday. Got a couple of super chats to shout out here right now. The first one, how about Richard G? Richard G, throwing in that $5 there via the super chats. Appreciate that love there from Richard G. And Spencer Revley come back in with the $2 donation there via the super chats. Appreciate Richard G and Spencer Revley. But we're going to make this quick here as we get into my top moment from the Alabama-Tennessee rivalry. Of course, it was the 2009 Rocky Block matchup. At that time, me as a youngster, my family, I don't want to say we were bootlegging cable at that time, but we were kind of ciphering some of the neighbors' cable there because our cable was kind of messed up. So we were adjusting and messing with the cable from the neighbor's yard, and we finally was able to get that clear picture from the matchup, for that game. And of course, in that matchup, Greg McElroy didn't have the greatest performance. He did have a touchdown pass to Darius Hanks. Alabama was beat up from the last week, going into the week against Tennessee, and Lane Kiffin had a strong game plan. Jonathan Crompton gave him a chance to kick that game-winning field goal or attempt the game-winning field goal. And at that moment, I was like, thank goodness for big people. Terrence Cody at 385 pounds, teetering on 400 pounds, and blocked the first field goal attempt from Daniel Lincoln. And then he attempted the second field goal from 44 yards. My TV blacks out. So I'm like, oh my goodness, what happened? I'm freaking out, panicking. I run downstairs. I turn the TV on the den. Alabama celebrating, so I'm thinking he missed the kick. I see the replay. Terrence Cody again got his left hand on the football, blocked the kick. Saban jumps in the air. Final score was 12-10. And once again, I'm going, praise God for big people. Terrence Cody got the job done there. Alabama rode that by the fingernail to the national championship and won the title. So for all callers called in, call in the second call segment. Be sure to call back in the second call segment if you're trying to get in here on the show. But we take another break right here on In My Own Words. Upon our return, we go to our two hard-hitting guests with Mike Lovall from Last Word on Sports covering Tennessee and Justin Smith, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for TDA. You'll hear both after this.
Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama. You know what we do at the start of the fourth quarter. We throw them foes up. But now you don't have to wait until the fourth quarter. Get your four-finger bling necklace at WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. It's the first and only logo that captures the essence of all Crimson Tide players and fans as we represent the legendary Alabama football fourth quarter dominance. Get your four-finger bling necklace right now at WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. Get yours today and stun on them haters. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
We're back in here, folks, ending your work week correctly and starting your game week off correctly here on the hottest show on the streets, the number one forum for Crimson Tide football news. In my own words, with yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Go ahead right now, give a thumbs up, give a like on the show, hit that subscribe button, turn on all of those notifications right now, so that way you can have the best news, notes, and coverage on your Crimson Tide. But we go to the In My Own Words hotline right now, where we pick up a great friend of mine. I have been blessed, very fortunate to meet some outstanding people in this business of covering sports media, and we bring on this guy right now, my man Mike Lovall, who covers the Tennessee Volunteers for LastWordOnSports.com. Mike, my brother, it's so happy to have you in here, man. How you feeling?
Stephen M. Smith, it's always great to join you. I'm feeling great. Check back with me about 24 hours from now. See how I'm feeling tomorrow night. We'll see.
You know what? You know what, Mike? I'm pretty sure you're gonna be okay. I'm pretty sure you're gonna try your best to be okay. We got Mike Lovall on the show right now, and so Mike, Jeremy Pruitt, first two games of the season, Tennessee got wins over Missouri and South Carolina. Of course, they're suffering the two losses there versus Georgia and Kentucky. But what's been the vibe in Rocky Top? What's been the vibe in Knoxville around Jeremy Pruitt? You've seen how he's got the recruiting class in. There's some talent there. They're trying to, I guess, get out of their own way in terms of turnovers. But what's kind of been the vibe around Rocky Top when you talk Jeremy Pruitt with this program?
Yeah, when you're a coach in the SEC, life can come at you real fast. 2 weeks ago, Tennessee was up 21-17 at the half, riding an 8-game win streak, up 21-17 at the half against the number 3 team in the nation, Georgia. Come out in the second half, and in the 6 quarters since then, have been outplayed and outscored by a lot. So, Tennessee fans were thinking, you know what, we're finally to a point where we can compete with the top teams in the nation. We're where we need to be. Let's see how the second half against Georgia goes. Maybe we can finish this. 6 quarters later, after the Kentucky game, utter and complete disappointment, almost to the point of embarrassment with the way that Tennessee played against Kentucky. A really bad loss. People are now questioning Pruitt. There's a lot of talk that how he manages the quarterback position is not in the best interest of Tennessee. Of course, he fired Jimmy Brumbaugh the next day, the defensive line coach. He's taken on position coaching there on the defensive line, so a lot of second guessing there. And then just losing to Kentucky for the first time in Knoxville since 1982. A lot of people are wondering, is this Butch Jones 2.0? Of course, Butch had the wins over Florida and Georgia in one season, and then couldn't finish that season out. Still couldn't get to Atlanta. So kind of the vibe right now, again, life comes at you fast. 13 days ago, the vibe was super high at halftime against Georgia. Today, the vibe is this Butch Jones 2.0. So that tells you how things can change on a dime in the SEC.
You talked about the quarterbacks there, Mike, and that's what I want to get into right now. At Tennessee, trying to figure out which quarterback can give us the best chance or a fighting chance against the Crimson Tide this weekend. And you have Jarrett Guarantano, you've got Brian Maurer, you're looking at Harrison Bailey and J.T. Shrout. And I know all of these guys bring different things to the table, but yet all of these guys have their things that they got to improve on and clean up. If you had to take a guess right now, Mike, on which one will Pruitt trot out there against Saban and this Alabama program, which one gets the nod of the musical chair of 4?
Well, I think it's going to be Guarantano. I think Guarantano starts the game. Pruitt will see how he can go. The thing with Guarantano is he's tremendously talented. He's got a lot of talent. The network broadcast last week put up the Guarantano graphic. It was his QBR by game plotted. It looked like an EKG. He'll have a QBR of 40 one game, and then 120 in the next game, and then 60 the next game, and 110. It looked like an EKG. It's that inconsistency that kills Vols fans. And it's that inconsistency that really hurts the team because you don't know what you're going to get. Are you going to get the Jarrett Guarantano that passes for 400 yards and throws 3 touchdowns with no interceptions? Or are you going to get the Guarantano that comes out against Kentucky and throws 2 pick sixes on the first 3 drives of the game? So if as a coach, if you knew what you were going to get, you could game plan and play call to that quarterback's strong suits, and you can play call to avoid his weaknesses. But with Garantano, you never know what you're going to get. Are you going to get the good Garantano or the bad Garantano? The other thing with Garantano is, and it seems to me from the outside, and of course I'm not in practice every day, but it seems he's a little bit like Nathan Peterman. If you remember Nathan Peterman, he was the greatest practice player ever to play at Tennessee. The coaches raved about him. But when he got on the field, if you remember that Florida game that was really his only significant action for Tennessee, was awful. Transfers to Pittsburgh, has a pretty good final season at Pittsburgh, makes it to the NFL, gets a start with like 3 different teams, and just looks horrible. And, I'm sure Nathan Peterman's a great guy, but there are just types of players who excel in practice and just can't put it together during the game. But with Garantano, I think Garantano starts, to answer your question, and I think Pruitt rides Garantano until he sees whether or not he's got good Garantano or bad Garantano. If he gets bad Garantano, I think you'll see Brian Maurer. He's still dealing with some health issues, maybe JT Shrout. I don't know that you'll see Harrison Bailey this game just because it's Alabama. He hasn't had a lot of snaps. Alabama traditionally runs a defense that you don't want to put a guy who hasn't seen a lot in. Kentucky was playing 3 up, 8 deep last week, so it was it's pretty easy. Just throw it to the receiver that doesn't have a Kentucky guy in front of him. Having said that, if you get bad Garantano on Saturday, I would not be surprised to see Harrison Bailey start in 2 weeks after the bye week.
Well, folks, he is Mike Lovall, ladies and gentlemen, covers the Tennessee Volunteers for Last Word on Sports.com, graciously joining us here on In My Own Words to break down Tennessee, Jeremy Pruitt, and this quarterback situation for the Vols. Who trots out there first against the Tide this weekend? My man Mike going with Jarrett Garantano. We shall see what happens. But my man Mike, appreciate you coming on to spend a little bit of a moment with us here on the show. You stay safe, man. Be good. You're going to be okay. I will see you tomorrow.
Stephen, I got to tell you, before you let me go, I got to tell you, you're talking about your favorite moment with Terrence Cody. He took his helmet off during the act of the play, which should have been a 15-yard penalty. I just want to make sure you realize that, right?
I do realize that, but still.
Okay. I just want to make sure. Stephen, it's been a pleasure. Appreciate your time, and thanks for having me, and best of luck to you the rest of the season, buddy.
Absolutely. Good to have my man Mike Lovall. You got to poke fun at me at the end. Good to have my man Mike Lovall from Last Word on Sports on the show there, talking some Alabama, Tennessee, poking some fun at me at the end. But now we turn to the man, the myth, the boots, the legend, the guy on the ground in recruiting, and that is none other than our own Justin Smith, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for Touchdown Alabama magazine. Justin, what's going on, man?
That much, Stephen. Happy to be on again.
Absolutely. Glad to have you back on here, Justin. So a lot of stuff here going on right now in recruiting for the Crimson Tide. First and foremost, 5-star defensive back target Jaquincy McKinstry will make his commitment on the 25th of this month. 25th of October, Jaquincy McKinstry will make his commitment. He's down to Alabama, LSU, and Auburn. Now, the last time we spoke, you said Alabama in good position, Alabama right there. Has anything changed about McKinstry since we last spoke?
Significantly, I think the Tide is still in a great position. They may be even in a better position because I feel that a lot of people feel now that he is very close to committing to the Tide on Sunday. I felt when he announced commitment on October 25th why I feel the Tide was in the best position. I still feel that way. I feel that they are among the favorites. If you guys can check out our recruiting feature over at touchdownalabama.com, you see that we moved him up to a slight lean in our recruiting feature to the Crimson Tide, meaning that we feel the Tide has a slight lead over the other 2 teams that are recruiting McKinstry heading into his upcoming decision on this Sunday. So I still feel the Tide is in a great position for a guy who I have called the most pure athlete to come out of the state in quite some time.
Folks, if you're just tuning into the show right now, we got the man, the myth, the legend, the boots on the ground and recruiting, our own Justin Smith, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for Touchdown Alabama magazine on the line right now. So, Justin, switching from McKinstry to 4-star defensive line commitment, Tim Keenan III for Alabama out of Ramsey High School in the Birmingham area. You got a chance to see him play on Thursday night. What do you like about Tim Keenan? What does he have to improve on? What sets him apart? What stood out to you about his performance on last night?
Well, I've seen Tim Keenan play multiple times, possibly more than most of the guys who are committed to the Tide in the 2021 recruiting class. I have seen him in a camp setting, and his arm movement on the rush is always pretty impressive. It has always been pretty impressive. The thing that I was most impressed with them with on Thursday night was the mean streak he showed against Pleasant Grove High School Thursday night. I don't think I really seen that in person, that mean streak that he has. I think I really saw that on full display on Thursday night, and I really think it really showed against Pleasant Grove. I think it had to do some with the magnitude of that game. Those two teams are two of the top teams in the 5A classifications inside the state. Ramsey was undefeated. Pleasant Grove only suffered one loss. So it was a pretty important game for both teams when it comes to seeding, with playoffs right around the corner for the state of Alabama. So I was really impressed with his mean streak. Of course, he has to develop some more. He has to drop some more weight to become a more effective guy at the next level, especially in the SEC. You want him to drop that weight so he can be more mobile than he already is. I think he has a high motor for a guy his size, so I think him dropping that weight will help him significantly.
If you're just now tuning into the show, ladies and gentlemen, we are right here with the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for Touchdown Alabama Magazine, one Justin Smith, talking 2021 recruiting for the Crimson Tide. Another guy we look at here, Justin, is a 4-star athlete by the name of XAVIAN SOREY out of Florida. And SOREY's a guy that's been high on Alabama. Alabama's been high on him. I know you have been studying his game tape, his film a lot. Where does XAVIAN SOREY stand in terms of Alabama, in terms of his commitment for this 2021 class? Where does Alabama stand with SOREY?
I still feel the Tide is in a great position with them. I currently have him as a medium lean for the Crimson Tide in our Locks and Leans feature. That is strongly based on his relationship with the Tide's outside linebacker coach, Justin Smith. And Siri was the first guy to ever offer him a scholarship when he was a coach with the Florida Gators. He also offered him a scholarship when he came to Alabama. I think their relationship is really strong at the moment. I think if the Tide wants him, they get him. But I think the Tide's coaching staff has to make some tough and difficult decisions heading down the stretch here in this 2021 recruiting cycle. This is something that I have said constantly, because they have so many different guys still on the board, and they may only have 4 or 5 slots left. When you look at this class, they have 21 verbal commits at the moment. They really have 22 verbal commits here in this 2021 recruiting class, because Caden Clark, a 4-star tight end who signed with the Tide in the 2020 class, he will officially be a part of the Tide's 2021 recruiting class because he took a gray shirt. So the Tide technically has 22 verbal commits here in this 2021 recruiting class. They may try to add four, possibly 5 guys, possibly try to squeeze in 26 to get 26 guys here in this 2021 recruiting class. And I think that is something that will weigh into if the Tide signs XAVIAN SOREY. They really like this kid. He says all the teams that are listed in his top 5 want him to play multiple positions at the next level. I think the Tide will most likely use him as an inside linebacker, or most likely as an outside linebacker. So I think they will most likely use him on the defensive side of the football, but he has so much potential. This is a kid who has experience playing tight end, running back, wildcat quarterback, defensive back, a linebacker. He plays so many different positions. Of course, at IMG Academy, he gets to hone in on the linebacker position a little bit more. But I think the Crimson Tide is in a great position with him. He's one of those guys who I feel the Tide can get him if they still really want him. I think they have shown significant interest in him throughout his recruitment, so it wouldn't surprise me if they gave one of those final spots to XAVIAN SOREY. He is that special of an athlete, but if they were to miss out on him, I think it will be more so because they want to go different ways with this tight space they have left in this 2021 recruiting class.
Got one more here, final one for you here, Justin, on the show, as we got Justin Smith, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for Touchdown Alabama Magazine. And Justin, KADARIUS CALLOWAY out of Mississippi was a guy that not too many people were high on, but from day one, you have studied this young man, you have watched him, you have scouted him, you have analyzed his tape, and you see this guy, this four-star athlete, as somebody really, really, really unique type of player. What stands out about Calloway, and what part of his game has you intrigued by him?
Well, first thing, when you look at him, he's 6'1", 210. When you look at that body frame, you think running back. And he's built like a running back. When you see him, you think, yo, this kid can easily be a running back. And I think he could easily be that at the next level. I'm talking about a top-tier caliber SEC running back. And he has that potential. He has a ton of speed. I saw him break one run. I put it on our YouTube page. It is posted on his recruiting tape where he just basically took off. That elite open field speed was on full display. Easily one of the fastest players in open field that I've ever seen in person, the way he pulled away from the competition. So this is the kid with a lot of natural breakaway speed, which is something that is going to translate over to the defensive side of football. This is a kid who may make some mistakes because he's so young and he's trying to learn the game, but with that speed, he can make up for it and make up for those mistakes. I think he has that type of speed on the defensive side of football, a kid who's not afraid to come down and make big hits, an all-around natural athlete. I think this kid can easily play wide receiver. I saw him run some pretty impressive routes as well. This is easily one of the top athletes in the 2021 recruiting class. I think this is the biggest deal in the country for the Tide here in this 2021 class. I was thoroughly impressed with him on Friday night. He blew me away. To be honest. There was a 3-touchdown performance he put together. Those rankings before were terribly off. It happens sometimes as part of the business because you have to go out and see those guys face to face in person. It was a pleasure to go see him in person. I was thoroughly impressed. The Tide has a hidden gem, a diamond in the rough in KADARIUS CALLOWAY, a special athlete.
Hitting Jim, diamond of the rough, blew Justin Smith away. So one KADARIUS CALLOWAY out of Mississippi doing his thing here for this 2021 recruiting cycle, according to our own Justin Smith. Well, folks, he is the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for Touchdown Alabama Magazine, the man, the myth, the legend, the boots on the ground, scouting and recruiting these young men coast to coast, state to state, city to city, country to country, wherever the athletes are. Justin Smith is going to go find those guys. But my man, we appreciate you for taking time out of your Friday to spend with us here on the show. Stay safe, Justin. Take care, man. Be good. Try to get you some rest in, man. You've been grinding, but we'll catch you soon.
You do the same, Steven.
Absolutely. Outstanding. It's always fun to get a chance to talk with Justin and pick his mind on things when it concerns Alabama football recruiting. We take another break right now on the show. Don't touch that dial, folks. When we come back, we return to the phone lines. We go to your phone calls, your thoughts, your tweets, your chats, your concerns. Bring them in. Let's have this conversation right after this.
Don't touch that dial. Call in right now as we're taking your calls up next on In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith, brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Visit weownthefourthquarter.com now to get your 4-finger bling necklace. T-Town Menswear in the University Mall in Tuscaloosa. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
We keeping it going, baby. We keeping it going on a Friday. Hottest show on the streets, #1 forum for Crimson Tide football news. In my own words, with yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. As always, got to give a shout out to my man, John Ivory, in the production studio doing his thing on the ones and twos there, making us look pretty as he does each and every time. And for you, the fans out there, be sure to give a thumbs up. Give a like on the show, hit that subscribe button, turn all of those notifications on so that way you can have the best in news, notes, and coverage here on your Crimson Tide. Before we go back to the phone lines here, we got a couple of super chats to shout out. Right now. So first off, how about one Spencer Revley again? Spencer Revley dropping that $2 donation that be the super chats. Appreciate that, Spencer. Richard G dropping that $2 donation on his end. So we appreciate the love from Spencer, Richard G, and Randy Harris. Randy Harris dropping in that $10 donation, helping us out here on the super chats. TDA. But 205-448-1358, the number to call in to let your voice be heard on the show as the call-in segment is brought out to you by the Blue Wrench Gang. Blue Wrench Gang in the house. 205-448-1358. We go to Spencer Revley right now, who's in the queue. Spencer, third Saturday in October, man. How you feeling?
I'm feeling great, sir. Stephen M., what are you wanting to see happen this weekend?
Okay, so I want to see two things. Number one, I want to see Ty Perine punt the ball this weekend, which we'll get into that later on the show. I really want to see Ty Perine this weekend. But number two, I want to see a continuation of the Alabama defensive front affect the quarterback, because we saw last week in the second half against Georgia, I don't know what happened, but those guys finally bought into the fact that, okay, if we can't get Stetson Bennett on the ground, it's not the end of the world. We can bat the ball down. We can knock him off his spot. We can find some small way to make him feel our presence and make him feel uncomfortable. So I want to see this Alabama defensive front take what it did in the second half against Georgia and build off that and continue that for an entire game against Tennessee. That
is outstanding. I agree with you 110%. And thank you for leading up to my next question. Where is our Louisiana connection that was punting so well for us last year that he hasn't seen the field this year? And our punting, excuse my French, is sucking this year.
Yes, and I look at this, the Louisiana connection you're referring to happens to be Joseph Belovis. Joseph Belovis from the state of Louisiana, from Mandeville, Louisiana. He has not been out there on the field at all this year in terms of kicking, punting, or kicking, but the guy that I want to see more out there, once again, is Mr. Perine, because to me, I don't understand, and maybe somebody can explain this for me, but I don't understand how on this earth could you go from being freshman all-SEC, the way Perine was a season ago, to being relegated to the bench. I don't understand what transpired with that. I don't know if there's something going on in the program that I'm just not aware of, but that's a serious issue to me, and how you can go from being freshman all-SEC averaging 45 yards a punt to you are on the bench. So I know Coach Saban had his presser on Wednesday about how, Ty's still in the competition, Perine's still in the battle, Perine's still involved. Well, if Perine is still involved, make him involved by starting this young man, because this guy right here, last year, we all saw how exceptional he was punting the football. But Spencer, man, we appreciate the call. You keep listening to us.
You know I will, sir. Thank you so much, and I do apologize. I thought Perine was from Louisiana.
No, Perine is from Prattville, Alabama.
I do apologize, because he was the one I was talking about being so great that we're not seeing. Just being clarification here. But thank you. I get off of here and let other people call in.
Absolutely. Appreciate the love there coming from our own Spencer Reveley calling in. Got another super chat to shout out right now. It comes from Randy Harris. Randy Harris donating that $5 via the super chats. Appreciate the love there from Randy Harris. And Jimmy Clay's back. Jimmy Clay, that $20 donation via the super chats from the man Jimmy Clay. But it looks like we got another caller in the line right now. You're live on In My Own Words. What's going on?
Rocky Top, you'll always be sweet home to me. Good old Rocky Top.
Come on now, for real.
Tennessee, baby.
For real? For real? For real? Right now?
The losing streak stops tomorrow. Go Vols.
Losing streak starts. Okay. Losing streak starts tomorrow. Okay. Got a Tennessee fan calling. Well, we'll see if Jeremy Pruitt get the quarterback right. If Jeremy Pruitt get the quarterback right, we'll see. But we got another call coming in right now. You're live on In My Own Words. What's going on?
What's up, Steven? It's Mattress Matt, Mobile.
Mattress Matt, what's going on with you, man?
Hey, when you get callers like you just had, you know you're making it, man. You know you're going places when you start getting callers like that.
I mean, it must be, man. It must be.
You're on your way to, Feinbaum territory. But I wanted to make a couple of points. Did anybody give you any love about predicting the 17-point win from Alabama over Georgia? Because I remember you saying that. I called in that Friday, I think, and you said it, and I said I thought they were going to win by 21 to 28, which I could have been right because they still had 4 minutes, I think, to go, and they just ran the clock out. They could have scored again if they wanted to, and ran the score up. But man, that was amazing that you predicted it right on the dot.
I mean, I haven't heard anything back from Feinbaum, but Mattress Matt, I'm going to tell you this right now. So many people blew my Twitter account up that night. A lot of people blew my Facebook account up that night because they were in shock that the accuracy, the number that was spat out by me was dead on there. And I mean, I knew for a fact that Alabama was gonna come out there against Georgia and try to redeem itself from that performance against Ole Miss. Alabama defense was embarrassed against the Rebels, against Ole Miss, giving up those points and those yards. But I felt like against Georgia, it was going to redeem itself, come out better in that football game. I felt like 17 was the right number. It ended up being 17, but I have not heard back from Feinbaum, Mattress, man. I have not heard back from him.
Oh, man, that's too bad. Another thing, I watched a video, I don't know if you've seen it, on analyzing some of our defense during the Georgia game, and I didn't have much time when I was watching it, but a guy was, slow motion and breaking down some of our linebackers really just standing there during some of the Georgia touchdowns, especially when the running back, I can't remember his name, but running back ran it into the end zone, and two of the linebackers on both sides were only 2 feet from him, and they literally just watched him go through. I guess they noticed that and corrected that in the second half. Some of the players just standing around. But what I like about the Reuben Foster type guys is they just want to hit somebody. They are bloodthirsty, and they want to bring somebody down to the ground with force. They're violent, and that's what we need to be like.
And those guys enjoyed it. Those guys like Reuben and Rashawn and Ryan Anderson, Tim Williams, they wanted it bad. They wanted it more than anybody else. They wanted it badder than anybody else. And I talked about that in the first segment. Like, Saban's about breeding competitors. How bad do you really want to be on this field, make plays, put your name out there? And guys like Reuben, guys like Rashaan Evans, Sean Dion Hamilton, Tim Williams, Ryan Anderson, they were like, Coach, you don't got to say nothing. Like, I want it that bad. And at times I'm wondering who has that type of mindset on this team, who wants it that bad.
Amen. Yeah. One more thing before I go, I want to shout out to Robert, the engineer in Mobile, who always calls in after me and agrees with everything I say. And then, and I also hope we don't get a second wave of the scandemic coming in for the wintertime, so we can finish out the college football season. What's the difference between the stock market numbers and COVID case numbers?
I have no idea, Mattress Man. I have none right now. No idea.
Stock market numbers are real. You have a good night, bro.
Appreciate the love there from Mattress Man. Good call there coming in from him. We got another call coming into the queue here on a Friday. You're live on In My Own Words. What's going on?
Sorry, Stephen M. I had to call back after hearing that Rocky Top version. But what I was calling back about is, what is your thoughts about Pruitt taking over the defensive line? Is that going to be a positive or negative for Tennessee?
It's going to be a toss-up for Tennessee because Pruitt's experience is defensive backs. I mean, he has some linebacker experience too, but the primary experience from Pruitt is working with those guys at linebacker, but most of the guys in the secondary. So that's going to be a toss-up, man. That's going to be hard for him to do. That's going to be interesting to watch, but I think it's a toss-up.
I think it's going to be a major positive and a major advantage for Alabama by everything that you just said and everything that we know about Pruitt, even coaching with us. He is not a line coach, so that's an awesome thing to hear.
We will definitely check out this matchup and see how this goes for Pruitt and the Tide as Alabama trying to get that 5th win of the season. But we appreciate the call, man. You keep listening to us.
You know I will, sir. Thank you. Bye.
Absolutely. You guys blowing us up here on the show, 205-448-1358, the number to call in. Got some super chats right now to look at here. And first and foremost, Richard G, another $5 donation. The super chats for Richard G. And Randy Harris, another $5 donation from him. So appreciating Randy Harris and Richard G. The love shown from both of you guys to TDA on today. And going to a quick topic right now. Malachi Moore is becoming a real legit superstar, people. I'm not kidding. Real legit superstar is Malachi Moore. He is getting national attention right now. Not just SEC attention, not just Alabama coaching staff attention. I'm talking national attention here for Malachi Moore as the freshman from Hewitt-Trussville High School in Alabama is he was recognized by Pro Football Focus this week. So Pro Football Focus recognized him as one of the top 4 defensive backs in college football for most targets with not allowing a touchdown. Most targets with not allowing a touchdown. Malachi Moore is second in that category, he's been targeted 28 times this season, but has not given up a score. He's behind only Garrett Williams of Syracuse, a redshirt freshman who's been targeted 30 times without allowing a score. And Malachi's in the category with Garrett Williams, Jamie Robinson of South Carolina, who's a really, really, really good player and has got a chance to be a draft prospect, a legit draft prospect, especially when you look at him coming back, next season for his junior year. But what's crazy is Malachi's in the same category as Marquise Waters of Duke. Marquise Waters is a legit draft prospect as a senior safety for the Duke Blue Devils. And for Waters, prior to this year, he had totaled 163 tackles, 6 tackles for loss, 11 pass breakups, 5 quarterback hurries, 3 interceptions. This season, Waters 35 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, 1 sack, and 4 pass breakups. He's played in 44 career games with 30 starts. So Marquise Waters, a legitimate draft prospect for the 2021 venue from Duke, and he is behind Malachi Moore in this category in terms of Pro Football Focus putting out this graphic of the defensive backs that have been targeted the most times this year without giving up a touchdown. Malachi Moore, number 2 in that category, been targeted 28 times, but not giving up a score. So the freshman, the 4-star from Hewitt-Trustfield, doing his thing for the Crimson Tide. We take another break right now on the show, but upon our return, we dive into the special teams of Alabama, the punting game, and one Ty Perine. It's time for Nick Saban to let this brother resurface back on the field, and we'll touch on Perine after this.
Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama. If you're an avid Alabama Crimson Tide fan and you love to flaunt it, then show your Alabama Crimson Tide support by grabbing the All-Bama sneakers. They feature bold Crimson Tide graphics, so no one will be able to question where your allegiance lies. When you add these sweet sneakers to your Alabama Crimson Tide collection, go to STSFootwear.com and use the code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. That's code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. Go to STSFootwear.com and get your All-Bama sneakers today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
All right, people. All right, Bama fans. We are back in from the break here on the number 1 show, the hottest form for Crimson Tide football news. That being in my own words, with yours truly, Justin Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine, on a Friday, ending your work week correctly, but starting your game week on fire, as Alabama will take on the Tennessee Volunteers in Neyland Stadium, Knoxville, Tennessee, on tomorrow, 2:30 p.m. Central Time kickoff. CBS will have the call. Third Saturday in October rivalry. We appreciate everybody for tuning in to the show on today. And before we jump into the final topic of conversation, got to remind you of TDAwear.com. That is TDAwear.com. Let us be your one-stop shop, your plug here for all your T-shirts, hoodies, all of your Bama wear. If you feeling the I Love Hearing Touchdown Alabama shirts, the We Want Football shirts, the Let Them Play shirts, all the hoodies you can desire, come right here, TDAwear.com. Make your purchases right now to TDAwear.com, showing your support to Coach Saban, the University of Alabama, the players, and, of course, us here at Touchdown Alabama Magazine. But, beginning right now, Alabama special teams, in particular, the punting game. Punting game has not been what it needs to be this year, and it is time for Alabama. It is time for Coach Saban. Put the right man on the field to do this job. And that right man is none other than Ty Perine, who was all freshman, all SEC a season ago. And for a program and for a head coach in Saban that thrives on having your best on the field, right? Your best on the field. Your grade A on the field. Your A1. And, sweetie, I ain't talking about steak sauce. For you to have your A1, your grade A, your best, that's what Nick Saban and this program thrives on. Having your finest on the field. And right now at the punting position, Alabama does not have its finest on the field. Sam Johnson's a good kid, good young man, good dude, good guy. But in terms of the punting aspect, you need a guy that's going to flip this field for real, and everybody saw a season ago in this very game at Bryant-Denny under the LED lighting feature what Tylen Perine did. In this very game last year, Skylar DeLong got the first nod at it. He was struggling, but Alabama went with Will Reichert, who wasn't healthy from the hip flexor against Southern Miss. He re-aggravated his injury. Alabama put Ty Perine out there, and it was shades of J.K. Scott. Kicked a 51-yard moon ball into the night sky, but then he turns around and he flies down the field, and he's the one making the tackle, and everybody's like, oh my gosh, was that the punter? He turned into a full athlete. Like, he punched the ball, but he flies like he's Sonic the Hedgehog, goes all the way down the field, and he's the one making the tackle. I mean, on top of that, played in 6 games last season, averaged 44.7, nearly 45 yards a punt for Perine a season ago, had 3 punts in excess of 50 yards, dropped 2 attempts inside the 50-yard line. Sam Johnson is averaging 35.4 yards a punt right now. That is basically 10 yards less, 10 yards fewer than what Perine was averaging. Sam Johnson, only 2 punts of 40-plus yards. He's had some attempts where he has shanked them a bit, whether they be 16 yards or 26 yards. Now, of course, a lot of people will say, but Steven, Sam Johnson has dropped 4 of his attempts inside the 20. You want to know why? Because the opponents are fair catching them. They're not returning these punts. They are fair catching these low line drive punts. There's going to come a moment where he kicks a low line drive. There's going to be a return man that's not going to fair catch it. They're going to catch it and go with it. And they're going to have the block set up because Alabama's not going to be able to get down in time to cover the punt, to cover the kick. The opponent's going to have that wedge set up, and they going to go. He's not going to fair catch. That man going to go. So, Perine has the hang time on his punts, and when you get the hang time on the punt, you're able to squeeze that return man and allow your coverage, your gunners, to get down the field and cover that punt. Sam Johnson does not have the hang time on his punts to give the coverage team the opportunity to do that. Ty Perine does have the hang time, and like I mentioned, Nick Saban, this program, it's always talking about get our best, get our finest, get our number 1, get our grade A athletes at each position on the field, and that includes punter. So, if I'm Nick Saban, and I know Coach Saban mentioned Wednesday's press conference, Perine still in the competition, still in the race, still in the punting situation. If he's still in there, and you saw the way he played last year, because there is no doubt in my mind Sam Johnson's better than Ty Perine. There's no doubt in my mind. Sam Johnson's not better than Ty Perine. Sam Johnson is not better than Ty Perine. There's no way. There's no way Sam Johnson is better than this young man right here, Ty Perine. I mean, Johnson's good. He all right. But Ty Perine is what Alabama needs on this field this weekend, because in the Georgia game, he is in the stands taking pictures in the stands. No time to have the number 1, the best punter on this team in the stands taking pictures. He's got to be on the field flipping this field, because I have a strong feeling in this game, field position is going to be key. I have a strong feeling that field position will be important in this game. When you look at Jeremy Pruitt, he's looking for every single possibility to create an edge in this game. And he's going to look at field position as a chance to create that edge, giving his offense a short field to work with. He's going to have his best returner back there returning kicks, returning punts. He's going to have his best return man on special teams. So if Pruitt's going to have his best return man on that side of the ball, Alabama's got to have its best punter out there, squeezing that guy, not allowing that guy to be effective, getting that coverage team down there to cover those punts. This week, if I'm Coach Saban, Ty Perine is getting this nod this weekend against Tennessee. This was the same game last year where he introduced himself to the world, and you guys as fans were going, man, Nick been holding out on us, man. What you doing this for, Nick? You left the best on the bench, Nick. You left the best chicken in the microwave, Nick. Like, you left the best food. Like Nick, what you gonna wait till the last minute to pull the best wine out? We should have been popping this bubbly from the get-go, Nick. We should have been popping this from day 1. So he waited to the last minute to put Perine out there against Tennessee. This time around, can't wait to the last minute. You got to start off with your best foot. You got to put your best on the field. You got to put the number 1 guy that you know they're going to perform that job well on the field. this weekend, Coach Saban, put Ty Perine out there. That's your best athlete. That's your best punter. Dude, for the program, put that man out there against Tennessee. Well, for those of you that want the best in news, notes, information, and coverage there on the Crimson Tide, got a little animated there about Ty Perine for a minute. But for those of you that want the best in news, notes, and information here on your Crimson Tide, it's very simple, very easy to get it. You can access it by getting the Touchdown Alabama Magazine app. You can download it from the iPhone App Store if you're rocking Team Apple. Google Play Store if you've got the Android phone. For your audio listening needs, we got you covered right here. iTunes or Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Spreaker, Overcast.fm, TuneIn Radio, or iHeartRadio. We got you covered. If the good and gracious Lord sees fit, I'll be back on Monday continuing the conversation that is Bama football. As always, Tide Nation, you can purchase individual copies of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Have those sent to your door. Link will be found in the description. Also, after the game Saturday, don't forget the post-game show with yours truly, Stephen M. Smith, and the man P-Money, Patrick Dowd of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. So don't forget, post-game show after the game against Tennessee. And also we have the live game day chat. Got the live game day chat. So you can talk to myself, John Ivory, Pat, Justin, all of us here at TDA. Check out the live game day chat on the site. That link will be found in the description as well. But husbands, love your wives. Wives, appreciate, value those husbands. Children, the weekend is here. It's the weekend, baby. But still do those things legitimately now to not be bored. Be sure to get you those 3 hearty meals a day, those 3 great laughs a day. Protect yourself. Protect the loved ones around you. Until next time, folks, spit in my own words.